Hey wood turners, I'm Captain Eddie Castle and welcome to my shop. I've got a little project for you today. I'm going to take a block of Ambrosia Maple. Got this from Pick. He's a wood hog, but he shared some. Block of Ambrosia Maple and a bunch of shop scraps, and I'm going to give you, voila, that project right there. Now, I got to stand behind it so you can see it. But that's a little lidded jar. See that? Tell you what, I'm going to take a photograph and let you take a look at it. How's this? All right? This is not a difficult project. In fact, it's a really good skill builder, and it's something that if you do art shows, it could be a big seller. But let me tell you something. When you get all said and done and it fits up nice, don't go set it on a shelf with the lid popped in it like this right off the bat. Because what does wood do best? Wood moves. And for the first day or so, it's liable to move and grab that lid. Just because I heard about it and had to go put it in the microwave oven and get it to pop back open again. But hey, you want to see how this goes? Watch. This project is a study in preparation. We had a block. It's 4x4x4. And guess what? The other side's a 4x4x4 also. Now, I 8-sided it. Same block. I 8-sided it. And I stuck it on a glue block. Okay? That's going to be my body for the piece. I also got ready the lid, which is a piece of bird's eye maple, shop scrap. I got the ring. There's a ring out of a piece of blackwood. I've already got one ring off of this ring, and now my next, I've still got wood in here for 2 or 3 more that the ring will go. Let me show you this. The ring goes right here. That's the break in the wood and the color, and it also creates the line between the top and the lid. Now you see how the black from the base, this, the ring, this, all the way through. The color seems to travel all the way through. The black base sets off the piece, gives a little bit of rise, and then we have the nice long tapered finial at the top. Now, I was back to prep work. So I've got the lid on another glue block. I've got the ring on another glue block. I've got the base for the bottom on another glue block. And what did I do with it? Oh, it's right here. I got the finial ready and I put a tendon on it that goes in my collet chuck. So all the parts and pieces are now assembled. All I have to do, this is a simple part, remove everything that doesn't look like the box. To rough this in, I'm going to make sure I'm between centers. I'm going to use my regular roughing gouge. Get it round. This Ambrosia Maple cuts like butter. I mean, that is just sweet slicing. I just sharpened up that roughing gouge on my CBN wheel. Then I'm going to look at the proportions and see where I'm going to go for I'm going to look at this piece and say, okay, I'm going to leave an extra ½ an inch down here. But when I do the entire piece, I have a ring up here, pretty good size. I have enough of a ring in a 4x4 block to do this shape and end up the lid made out of the same material, except that's going to be end grain, and I really don't want to be looking at an end grain lid. So I'm going to take this off and save it right off the bat. Then I'll use the rest of it for my piece. Use my parting tool from D-Way. Remember, if you try to part this completely off, it's going to jam and pop. So take the pressure of the tailstock off so it'll move when you slice it away. It's ready. The next step would be to go ahead and start getting a shape going here. I've taken it off the steady rest. So I'm going to want the top to look. I'm going to bring this corner around a little bit. I want to have a little bit of meat and potatoes here before we dip down. Get a lot of wood out the way. Then start my practice cut. Need to move you so you can see what I'm doing. The reason I moved you was so you could see what I mean by practice cuts. Every time I go down the wall of this piece and let the lathe come up to full speed, because I'm at about 1800 RPMs, every time I come down the wall of this piece, I could just grab it and do a twist and plow cut, but I need to practice. So I'm going to go in, watch the flute. You start it vertical, turn it. If I don't start vertical, it'll skate or run back. So I'll start vertical and then I'll roll it around. If I don't roll it around, I get a straight line, or I start banging the bevel and I get ripples here. So now we roll the front end a little bit. And we're going to massage this edge until I get it where I want it. Once I get the shape massaged to what I want, and I did that by just slightly cutting, then I shear scraped a little bitty bit to knock some bumps off. Remember, no flats. Flats show up as high spots or low spots and catch the light. So I'm looking close to what I want to be. There's my original shape right there. I do know that bottom's got to go in some. I got a little time before I have to get there. But now this gives me a chance to take a look at overall, am I going to be happy with this box when I get done? That's it. I'm buying it. Let's hollow it out. My decision on the size of this opening is me governed by the ring that I can cut. Now I can get a ring that's a little bit smaller than this dimension right here easily. What I did earlier was shape it, and I made sure the side walls were square by actually using my caliper to go in and slide on them as it was spinning to make sure that they were parallel. Now, this will be the maximum or the yeah, the maximum size of the hole I want to get in the face of that piece. So with that, I'll lock it down and look at here. Yep, that'll be it. I'm gonna put a little reference on it. I'm rubbing this one, reading that one. See what I got? Okay. That's a guide. I'm definitely not going to cut to that. But that's going to let me know where I want to go. So right now, that's going to be the shoulder I'm going to stop at. To hollow this out, there's about a dozen ways you can do it, but I need to practice. So I'm going to use my gouge. I'm going to slowly make these cuts. Start vertical, watch the flute. I twist it as I go down. And I move the back of the handle. Back of the handle is what drives the front end of it. But don't twist the... Need to get my ring ready. I did a little odd hollowing. Put that off on the side. Put the glue block for my ring in here. This is where you're conserving materials and saving the scraps works for me. Now, I do know that that ring is going to be about 1/4, 5/16 of an inch maximum thickness and width. So I'm going to go in here right now. And boy, the light's terrible on there, isn't it? I'm going to go right here. I need that ring. I took my piece out. See, I did the hollowing. Just a little bit of it. I want to set that ring before I do any more. The ring, I'm going to come in about 5/16 of an inch and put me a plow in here. It's going to go about 5/16 of an inch deep. Then I'm going to spin my tool rest around and slice the ring off from outside. That's going to give me about a 3/16 to a 1/4 inch wide ring. That's the piece I want. And I still have all that black wood for other parts and pieces. I have to set the ring. The best shoulder for the ring is going to be right here. Nice clean square cut. So that's the one I'm going to cut to go in. Give me a little room. You see I'm a little small, a little bit larger than the score that I put on there. So I'm going to work back to that score. I'm using a little multi-tool. I don't like using calipers to do this. I like the stop and fit method myself. So we'll do that a few times. Once I've got my ring depression done, if I tap this in on a little bit of glue, it's going to stay. I want to go ahead and finish up some hollowing. One of the things is I'm going to come to about right here. So that's the inside of my neck, and I don't want to come any farther out there because that's where my lid's going to sit on. So let's go back to hollowing again. To go back to hollowing, I'm going to take my little 3/8 inch round bar with the 12mm cutter. Do some nice sweeps inside. I love the little curly Q shavings this thing will pull off of edge grain. I rechecked the fit on my ring. Really close and tight on it. So we're going to set that ring with just a little bitty bit of medium thick super glue. I know the reveal is going to be the same because the depth was the same and the thickness was the same. So that's my check to see if it's all in. Time for a sandwich. Time passes. Well, a little bit of time. All right. We're going to take this and trim it down. And to do so, I'm going to take a fingernail gouge. One I sharpened up just a few moments ago. Got a good edge on it, and I'm going to slightly take that off. I'm doing everything I can not to break this piece off or shatter it because I'm back here on a glue block. So I'm going to take it very easy. That means wood slicing, not tearing. You follow what I did? I got a reed and then I opened up the bevel. And with that, I got a real nice clean cut across that edge. Now, I need to get rid of this and set the rim for my piece. I'm running a little bit hot and high right now, so I'm bringing it down a little bit. I'm coming here and take it off. I just sharpened this multi-tool up. Easy, don't want to push too hard on it and tear it up. Can you see the edge I'm leaving in there? That's important that you do. Watch again. That's why I left the inside a little fat up in there because that is where my lid's going to sit. Now, at this point, everything from this point right here on the outside to the inside gets finished. I finished this thing. We now chuck up the lid. This is a ring for the lid. It's a piece of bird's eye maple because I want a good little contrast as it goes across the face of this. And this is end grain. I get to see all the texture and the ambrosia and all down through here. Well, I want to see something as it goes across the lid. So I changed to bird's eye, and to put this on bird's eye, I'm going to have to make a socket on it. So with this In mine, I'm going to crank the Z up and put a couple of test cuts on it. Once the socket cap, I've got the tenon at the right size, then I'm going to clean up this inside edge. This is the last time I'll get to work on the inside of this, so with my fingernail gouge, go ahead and clean this up. Now, a lot of folks like to add a little rhinestone or something right there. A little surprise inside when you open a lid. You can do pretty much any kind of detailing you want. Remember, they're all your pieces. It's got to make you happy first. So if you clean it up a little bit, just remember, if you put that rhinestone there, or that little, whatever you put, a coin, which is a nice touch. Put a coin in there, you need to allow for that depth and the overall depth at the top. Now once you get the lid to set in there, you have to consider that you need this much plus the rise, and you can take this thing off the glue block. You've already fitted it here. That's going to be the lid. It's nice and snug, good fit. I'm going to turn it around and chuck it again to trim that off. But let me get rid of some of the stuff I don't need and get it off the glue block before it adds a lot of weight to my piece. So with that, I go over here and take care of it. And don't forget, once you've cleared a glue block, finish clearing it off. See that depression? That was because I only needed a 1/4 inch to hold it. Clean up this edge before you put it away, and next time you need a glue block, it's ready. The next step involves putting the lid in. I've primed and finished the inside of the piece. The lid has been cut. You can see it fits in nicely. A little bit snugger than I want, but I can make those adjustments in a few minutes. Now, if it fits too tightly, now make the adjustments, because you can't get it out without putting it in the microwave oven or the refrigerator, which means the freezer. All right? You got to change the temperature somehow to make the wood move. I'm going to fit it in. Bring up my soft touch just to hold it in place, just to make it stay there. Then I can trim this off and get the lid to fit down into to fit across the face of the piece. It'll stay with the friction. The soft touch just makes sure it knows it's supposed to stay. And because we're on a glue block, we can keep going back and forth on this piece. Fingernail gouge. Keep it closed. Roll it open. Well, I knocked the rest of it, and I just did a little light sanding. Guess what? I'm in trouble right now, because I can't get to that. I can't get that out. I don't have a hole in the bottom. I'll put a hole in the top. And that's where the finial will fit. And then I'll be able to thread a bolt into it and pull it right out. So with that, I'll bring up my tailstock, put in my my 1/4 inch Forstner bit, and drill it out. Now we got the lid done. The inside, I have a little more time. I can put a little more finish. I need to sand and finish all this part out here right now, including the lid. Put the final sanding on it and get all this ready, because this is the last time I'll be spinning it with this face out. Now I can clean this up all the way back to here, and then I'll start tapering it down before I pop it off, turn around, put it on the jam shop. I got to show you all that. So right now, sanding and watching hair grow. I've put some finish on the outside, and I've buffed it a little bit to knock the finish down and clean it up. So I'm okay with current finishing from this rim all the way back to about here. I have to take it off the glue block to flip it around. To do that, again, I'll go to my fingernail grind gouge and I'll read my bevel and push. I don't want to take too heavy a cut. Get some wood out the way. Now what I'm seeing here, this is all going to be exposed jarr. So, no flats. Again, I don't want any transitions from one to the other. You read the bevel on one and you slide it past the other. To get that far, my detail gouge won't do me any good. I now have to slide down a little bit with my parting tool. I'm okay if I stay a little proud, because I can shape it when I flip it around. If I go negative, I have to reshape. Okay. I have to reshape a little bit because the seat might not be that large when they get there. Now, let's turn it around, jam chuck it. The glue block I used was large enough and planned out to where I could recut it to become my jam chuck. I put a receiver the same size as my lid, then my piece will go on this rather snugly. Is snugly a word? Okay. But to make sure it doesn't move, I use a little bit of custom TP. Yes. Dollar General TP. Why? Because it's thicker and coarser than regular TP. And it holds, and I'm crooked. Get it on there right. Maybe I'm a little bit too tight with that. I might be better than I thought. Nope. Now I'm there. Be running. Very true. See it? Very true. Bring up a soft touch so we can shape this out. Again, my soft touch comes to the rescue because I can now trim this piece, take it down through here just like this. And if I make contact with the chuck or the piece, I won't damage one of two things. Either my tools or my chuck. Again, go back up over here. I read the bevel. You're looking right down my bevel. I read the bevel and I push, 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 push. There it is. Again, Now I could take this and nub this down a little bit smaller just by putting some pressure on it and slicing it away. Oh, thought I had enough pressure on it. Nope, can't do it. I squirt off the little tip down there at the bottom because that's going to help me attach the base to it. I'll look for a little bit more than the simple standing golf tee type fit when I put the base on. So with that little spot there, I can go ahead and attach it. Sand all this out again. It's another opportunity to correct any flaws. You want to look at it and feel it. Like, for some reason, that spot right there really does feel like it's a bump. So maybe I should crank it up. Bring in a scraper and work it a little bit. Much better. With the bump out, this really feels good now. I checked it for any tears or scratches. This wood would tear easy with the wrong twist of the tool, so I'll look to see if I had any spots I needed to sand additionally or work some spots out. I've got all that done. So I am saying that I am good finished up to here. Now, this is where we break this off the jam chuck, but we don't lose track of the jam chuck because we still need to turn this piece around. So if I just leave it in there, then I know it's referenced. And I can work it back this way. I still have a spot here from where it was referenced earlier when I chucked it up the first time. So that piece of the puzzle is now done. That's a pretty piece of wood though, isn't it? The next piece of the puzzle is to do the base, and then we'll hook the top onto the base. That'll be curing while we work on the finial. We're going to do the finial using the chuck I showed you a while back, the collet chuck. The final finial project. Now, with this, again I go back to a detail gouge. I don't want it to be too tall, so let's take it down a little bit. Let's take the speed up a little bit and make cleaner cuts. Then we're going to sweep down the side. By swinging the handle of the tool, that arc became very gentle and very exact. I didn't have any ridges in it because I wasn't pulling on the tool. I swung the handle and pivoted it. Clean up this little bit. Thanks to Dave at D-Way Tools, I've developed a way to put a new detail on the bases of my little pedestals, and that is by using a beading tool that Dave makes right here. I just take this little beading tool and you engage it by pushing upward. Cuts a perfect bead. I mean, I can't get you in position to see it. That is a perfect bead. Now I'm going to take off what's on the bottom on a part of the way, and I'm going to put a little detail on the top to make a transition from flat to round to round. There. That little flat emphasizes that round, takes us out of this and puts us to the top half. Now I can take a little scraper ideally my 16mm would do that ideally. Don't have one out right now. Now I'm going to put a little socket in it so we can mount the piece on it. I had a little change of heart, so I reduced the size of it in height. Putting the socket in, reducing the shoulder a little bit so the piece will fit flat inside of it. Oh, gotta go a little bit more in the socket. Sure, the intention was get a clean socket, nice tight fit. This will go in there, and then it gives me a couple of glue points around the socket and on the flat here. Then it'll be together, and I'll go ahead and do that. Bring up a soft touch to hold it on the end. Let me get you where you can see what I'm talking about. Get a soft touch to bring us up on the end. That'll hold it together while it glues. And that I'll have to let that rest a few minutes. I took the main piece off, left it on a glue block. Let me show you what I have. The main piece I glued onto the base. It's got to rest, let that cure out. I allowed this glue block and this jam chuck to stay in place. Later on I'll ease this jam chuck out and then slice it off on the bottom using a parting tool. But first, while it's spinning, I'll probably clean up a little bit of the glue that I rubbed off the outside, because there's a little bit on the surface, and I'll put a little bit more finish on it. Then that's going to go ahead and I'm going to go let that rest. This is my piece of African blackwood. You see the little 3/8 inch spigot I have on the end of it. I'll put that 3/8 spigot on there using my 3/8 spigot cutter right there. See that? I did a video on how to do this using this open end wrench, specially modified. You can see how the top lake is cut back, and I sharpen it with a diamond card. Got a 3/8 tenon on it. I'm going to ease that 3/8 tenon into this collet chuck. This collet chuck comes from littlemachineshop.com. I understand those folks were very helpful to the wood turners that called them in the weeks after I did that other video looking for collet chucks, because wood turners don't normally talk, machinists talk very well. Then I'm going to bring this up. I'm just making a little bit of light contact with it. It's running as true can be. Okay? Now, my goal is a finial. The finial will have to have a base and a tenon. The tenon is going to be a 1/4 inch long. It's right there. The base is going to be another 1/4. Then I have a little bit of a gap. Let me show you the other one. I'm going to be on essentially the same thing. I'm going to have a little bit of a gap. Okay. I'm going to put a bulb in, a gap, and another bulb. Well, to do all that, I'm 1.5 inches short. So this pattern won't work on this stock. but I want to use up that piece of stock. We improvise as we fly. Show you how I do this. I'll set the flute or the trumpet or the bulb or the onion. I'll set that point. Then I'll work away from it. I know I want to get really thin down in here, and for that I use my finial, my detail gouge. I'm rubbing that bevel. This is not a wild cut. I better fix this top before we get too far down the road and I won't be able to work down there. Use a little detail tool. Then I go back to my finial gouge. When I get to where I need to get it fine, I roll it up like a shear scraper. Then you want to close your eyes and feel it. See if you can pick up any differences. No matter how thin it looks here, it'll look thicker and fatter when you put it on your piece. That's a matter of fact. Now, if you think I sanded it to get it that smooth, you're wrong. I did 600 paper. But you see that? That, my friends, is kiwi wax. Kiwi black shoe wax. I take the lid off and I'll let it dry, and it looks like these little wafer cakes. And you always want to be one can ahead. Always be drying a can as you're using a can. Takes about a week or 10 days for a can to dry out, but it dries to a point and stops. If it's been sanded, there won't be any burrs to grab the paper. And you get a really nice polish and a really nice finish out of it. We got to do the bulb. I jumped out a little bit. I said put the foot on it, but you have to finish and buff these parts before we put the foot on it. Take a multi-tool, and I'm going to cut this down a good bit. I I know I'm at my 3/8 mark right now. I'm going to push to get a little bit of an undercut. I take it down a little bit more. So I'm going to say I'm 5/16 or so right now. Then I'm going to go to my chain and get my 1/4 inch. You can see it. That's a 1/4 inch open end wrench. You cut, you hold on the bottom, you pull down on a part in your hand, and that keeps it tight and run right on up. And I'll put a perfect 1/4 inch tenon down there. That tenon will go into the 1/4 inch hole I put in the top of my jar. Then everything gets taken off. Perfect 1/4 inch tenon. Now I've rechucked the base of the unit. I took the block out, and I didn't do it while I was holding it on here because that would put leverage on this part. I let it rest. Now I'm going to part it off right up in here, and for some reason that's coming out fuzzy. There we are. All right. Get into here. We're going to go right below the base and start our cut. Then we're going to angle the tool up towards the top, so I undercut the base a little bit. Going to bring the speed up a little bit more so I get a smoother cut, and I'm going to hold the jar. Back out and get a little bit better cut. You don't want to jam it, you don't want to twist it, you don't want to break it off, you'll crush fibers. That's pretty clean. Now, I can do that with a couple of tools. What I'll probably do is just take a 1/4 inch chisel, knock it off, and then take my sander and take it out. Cleaned it up, sanded it out. Now I can take a moto tool and clean it up, but I'm going to take my little engraver and put my name down there and the date I made it. That's critical for me. And then later on I'm going to go ahead and soften it up a little bit more with a Scotch-Brite, the white one that's like 1000 grit. It's really fine. But the overall project is right here. Yeah, get a picture of it a little bit closer so you can see it. Now, here's the deal. This is all done out of shop scraps except that one 4x4x4, and everything else there's a surprise inside. You see, what you didn't catch earlier, maybe you did, was when I drilled that hole in that top, I made that top a little bit too thin, and I went all the way through. I knew how to fix it. I put this in my chuck, put a recess in, went over to my box of imported coins or foreign coins, got me a coin. This one here is from Holland? Yeah, Dutchland, whatever. And yeah, look, you can't read it, all right. But it's a little surprise inside. Overall, I've got a combination of a Ambrosia Maple, a bird's eye maple, ebony, African black, and African black. Shop scraps, I have, out of just the pieces I put together for the first one, I can still get a lid for another one, and the finial, that using that collet chuck, I got 3 finials out of a 16-inch piece I got from Penn State or West Penn Hardwoods. So I'm getting the maximum out of my materials and using the minimum to accomplish a project. That's it. I'm Captain Eddie Castellan. I've been in the shop, and you know what I've been doing? I've been making shavings. I'll see you soon. Oh yeah, by the way, now here's a word from our sponsor. I was supposed to say it a little while ago, but so here's a word from our sponsor. Hey wood turners, I'm Captain Eddie Castellan. You visit me in my shop occasionally, and we do little projects and come up with all kinds of things, fun things to do. And I occasionally use my brand of turning tools, Blackhawk tools. But let me tell you folks, I use the best tool for what it needs to be. I'm not going to stand here and do commercials every time by using only my tools and saying, this is how you have to do it. If you like me to talk to it, it's my radio voice. I did that for a dozen more years. But, no, pardon me. But if you're sharp and challenged, or you'd like an easy way to turn wood, carbide tools is the way to go. And Big Eye Productions accidentally, over the past 2 years, has become one, if not the largest distributor of carbide turning tools and tips in the world. And it's all because of you. So we've got great prices, and we keep them there because of you. If you need carbide turning tools, check my website, www.eddiecastellan.com. And when you're ready to make an order, give me a call. If I'm vertical, I'm answering the phone. Oh, and by the way, my Blackhawk sharpening rig runs with the big dogs. In fact, we have features they haven't even thought about. So if you want to check it out, that's on products and services page. For cutters, cutters only. For everything else, hey, you need it and I got it. Everything except management. We'll talk. I'm Captain Eddie. Check out the site today.